On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County, I welcome the candidates and the audience to this community candidate forum for the primary election of Milton Mayor. I'm Lydia Zepeda, forum moderator. The League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County acknowledges that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people, surrounded by their traditional waters in the shadow of Mount Tahoma. We actively seek inclusive and respectful partnerships that honor Indigenous cultures, histories, identities, and current realities. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization whose mission for the past 103 years has been to empower informed and active participation of citizens in government. Candidate forums are one of the many ways that we do this. For more information about us, go to our website, lwvtpc.org. That's lwvtpc.org. The candidates in ballot order for Milton Mayor are Bruce White, Megan Sheridan, and Steve Whitaker. The primary election is August 5th. If you're not registered or have moved, you may register to vote or change your address online at votewa.gov by Monday, July 28th. If you are registered as a voter and your address is correct, your ballot will be mailed out July 18th. Ballots must be postmarked or placed in a ballot drop box by 8 p.m. Tuesday, August 5th. This forum is being recorded and will be posted at the LWVTPC website. That's lwvtpc.org. Questions have been prepared by the members of the League of Women Voters of Tacoma-Pierce County. We invite live audience questions via text to 530-647-6482. I put that number in below me in my name tag. Questions must be directed to all candidates and may be reworded or consolidated. Our timekeeper today is Terry Baker of the League of Women Voters Tacoma-Pierce County. I ask the candidates to please stay on gallery view so that you can see the timer. And candidates, please stop when the timer runs out. You may finish a short sentence, and if you keep talking, I will interrupt you and stop you. Please do not talk unless it's your turn. Please put yourself on mute when it's not your turn to speak. The audience is on mute and cannot use the chat function. A reminder that civility is expected. I ask you each to confirm that you agree to our ground rules, which, among other things, includes addressing the issues and not making personal attacks. Could you please indicate that you agree to these ground rules by giving me the thumbs up? Thank you. I see you all giving me thumbs up. I appreciate that. Each candidate has up to 2 minutes for an opening statement. After that, the order of the questions will rotate and each candidate will be asked the same question. At the end, each candidate can make a 1-minute closing statement. The order of the opening 2-minute statements for Milton Mayor primary is in ballot order. We will start with Bruce White, then Megan Sheridan, then Steve Whitaker. Bruce White, your opening 2-minute statement, please.
Thank you, and good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Bruce White, and I'm running for mayor because I believe in a brighter, safer, and more connected future for our city. I'm deeply grateful to the many of you who have welcomed me into your homes, signed my petition to get my name on the ballot, and shared your hopes for Milton. Your support has brought me to the stage, and I'm here to earn your vote on August 5th. As your mayor, I'll lead with integrity, transparency, and a commitment to putting residents first. My vision for Milton is built on 4 key priorities that address the issues you've told me matter most to you. First, safer neighborhoods. Speeding on our street endangers our children and pedestrians. I'll hire a dedicated traffic enforcement officer to tackle this issue head-on, ensuring our families can walk and play without fear. Second, better infrastructure. I'll prioritize adding sidewalks to make Milton more walkable and upgrade our water treatment systems to deliver clean, odor-free water, because every family deserves quality in their daily lives. Third, fiscal responsibility. I'm committed to opposing property tax hikes while securing grants and fostering economic growth to fund essential services affordably. We can be smart with our resources and still invest in Milton's future. Finally, I'll deliver transparent, community-driven leadership. From addressing concerns about fireworks to hosting regular town halls, I'll listen to you and ensure your voice shapes our city's path forward. I've knocked on your doors, heard your stories, and felt your passion for Milton. This election is about turning that passion into action. On August 5th, only the top 2 candidates in the primary will advance to the general election. With your vote, I can be one of them, bringing our shared vision to life. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan, please, your opening 2-minute statement.
Hi, I'm Megan Sheridan. Thanks for taking the time to be here, and thank you to Bruce and Steve for everything you've done for our city. I'm running for mayor because I believe in Milton. I love it. It's our home. I think we're ready for a new chapter, one where we're more connected, more proactive, and still deeply rooted in that small town feel that brought so many of us here in the first place. My background is in leadership, sales, and real estate. Over 30 years of working with people, solving problems, and building relationships that last. I've served in city government, helped pass park bond and school campaigns, owned a brick and mortar business. I've seen how things work and where they don't. More importantly, I know how to get people around the table and actually get things done. I've also been through hard times. I've been a single mom, faced housing insecurity, had to start over. That's what drives me. I know what it feels like when systems fall short and what it takes to build something stronger. Milton is at a crossroads. We've held on tight to our small town charm, and that's important. It's also kept us from growing in ways that could have helped. Supporting our roads, our infrastructure, our communication. It's time we stop reacting and to start planning. Here's what I'm focused on: fixing our aging infrastructure, expanding revenue through partnerships and grants, not just raising costs for our residents. Creating a shared vision for growth through thoughtful planning and zoning. No one person can move a city forward, but a mayor can bring people together, listen well, and bring opportunities back for council intention. I believe city government should feel human, rooted in trust, empathy, and transparency. Be honored to earn your vote, and even more, your trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, your 2-minute statement, please.
Thank you. And I welcome everybody else who's here. Thank you for being here. My love for Milton is the cornerstone of my involvement within the city. I'm loyal, dedicated, and authentic person who is committed to guiding Milton's growth to protect our shared sense of community. Citizens want to end vehicles rolling through stop signs, stopping in crosswalks, and speeding. As a member of the Public Safety Committee, I'm looking forward to receiving the results from the recent traffic study to create a safer Milton. I am affirmed by Milton businesses and many residents who feel that finishing the sidewalk gaps is essential. That requires requires grant funding. Luckily, the council approved a contract grant writer to the budget in 2025. The grant writer is currently working for the city and is applying for much needed grants. Retaining existing businesses should also be the focus. How about more events that involve local businesses to build cohesion amongst residents, businesses, and the city, and introducing a seasonal farmers market in the Milton Community Park to help spark the refacing of Old Town Milton. People are born here, they live here, they stay here due to the small town sense of community. Local volunteer opportunities nurture strong community values that youth can take anywhere they end up laying their roots. The Finance Committee, of which I'm a part, clarifies the inner workings of the city's finances. I understand the city's funding sources and expenses to create a balanced budget with a long-term vision. And I bring financial foresight to the table as mayor. I will do this while being authentic, honest, respectful, and collaborative. When voting, I ask to consider all that I bring to the table and vote for me, Steve Whitaker, for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you all. Now we come to the questions. Each candidate gets up to 90 seconds to answer each question. Again, live audience question. The live audience can text questions to 530-647-6482. So 530-647-6482 should be right down below on your screen. The candidate order will rotate for each question. So for question number 1, we'll start with Megan Sheridan. So what is your budget priority for the city of Milton, and how do you propose to pay for it? Megan Sheridan, please.
Sure. Thank you. My top priority 100% is our infrastructure and primarily sidewalks from a safety perspective. We do have two priorities that are already coming through that's council approved. So definitely need to make sure that that stays on track with the new speed zone cameras and the focus that will then allow our extra officers who aren't having to enforce those zones to be able to keep safety and focus on people being able to have walkability throughout the community. From a budget perspective as well, we do have, as Steve mentioned, we have the grant writer that's already on staff. And I know that our team in City Hall is 100% focused on actively going after grants so that we don't have to use any funds or revenue provided by our residents. And that has to be a top priority for us, safety and not putting that pressure onto our residents if it's unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, what is your budget priority for the city of Milton, and how do you propose to pay for it?
Well, I have three of them. We'll start out with, being that I've talked to the residents, and the big thing was the traffic calming, is people speeding. And as I stated in my opening, I'm glad to see that we're going to be getting the traffic safety, the feedback from Transpo, and they're going to give us recommendations on what we should use. Either speed humps could be, they've even mentioned maybe putting in roundabouts, but I'm interested to see what that will be, because then we can more determine where our budgetary needs will be in putting in those different traffic calming devices. Two, I would say the sidewalks, that was like number two with people when I talked to them, filling in those extra gaps where we need need sidewalks. And with the grant writer, like I mentioned, that'll make it much easier having a dedicated person, not just for getting sidewalk grants, but all sorts of grants throughout the city. Number three, I really want to get the deep well in and up in service, which I've been told will be next summer. So summer of 26, it will be up. And also that will get us ready for more people coming into Milton, because I think you should have the infrastructure in place before you have people come in and start taxing either your power or your water more than. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce White, what is your budget priority for the city of Milton? How do you propose to pay for it?
Sorry, I had to turn my audio back on. My budget priority, I have several, but the top one is at top of mind of our citizenry as well, which is speeding in neighborhoods. And I agree that our traffic calming program is one of the things that we're going to do in order to address the issue. But I also think that we can address it more effectively by having a dedicated traffic enforcement officer, because one of the most common comments that I get when I'm talking to people at their doors is that they used to see police enforcement in their neighborhood, but they don't anymore. And I understand why that's the case, because the crime has gone up and takes our officer resources, and traffic enforcement is a lower priority than that. And so I would like to have a dedicated traffic enforcement officer whose only job is to keep our streets safe and keep speeding under control, discouraging cut through traffic, and it will also free up the other officers to go after the bad guys in town. So that's my top priority. Perhaps later in this broadcast we can bring up some more.
Thank you so much. Okay, so next question. What are your priorities for further development in Milton? Speak specifically about the comprehensive plan for Milton and the Growth Management Act. And this time we'll start with Steve Whitaker.
Thank you. When talking to people, one thing they love about Milton is that it's a small bedroom community feel. That's why people want to live up here. The chief actually refers to it as like the jewel on the hill. And the trick is keeping it and still keeping that feel, but also being with the Growth Management Act, for instance. I know their big push has been, getting more ADUs, approving people to have ADUs for their houses. Also, you can demolish a home and you're encouraged to then, maybe build a duplex, triplex, just to give more housing, give more affordable housing. And so, the Growth Management Act, I know, is focusing on that at this time. And so that's the balance to me. I kind of struggle with that how do you keep growing the city, but still keep that small town feel? And then also taking into account, with more people coming in, because you have more affordable housing, is your infrastructure also has to be there to support that. So on the roads, the power, the water, those are all things that have to be looked at. And I think Milton is doing it slowly, so they'll be able to keep up with that influx.
Thank you. Bruce White, what are your priorities for further development in Milton, and speak specifically about the comprehensive plan for Milton and the Growth Management Act?
Sure. Milton already is proactively addressing housing needs while honoring our small town feel and history. We've just recently allowed for accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, and in fact, just this last Monday passed an ordinance for unit lot subdivisions, which will enable ADUs to be sold, not just rented, creating affordable home ownership for first-time buyers. So that's one of our newest steps to help make homes more affordable in Milton. I'll build on this by ensuring regulations for ADUs and ULSs and other state mandated housing align with residents' desire to preserve Milton's charm. I'll work with staff in the city council to craft a housing plan that balances affordability with our historic identity, ensuring Milton remains a vibrant, inclusive community where everyone, whether owning or renting, feels at home.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan, what are your priorities for further development in Milton, and talk about the comprehensive plan for Milton Growth Management Act?
As both Steve and Bruce said, we are mandated by the Growth Management Act, which most recently we're having to comply with House Bill 1110, which is the middle housing, which does mandate us. So one of the things that we do definitely need to figure out, and I know that multiple people have heard me say this, is what is our identity and who do we want to be as we are forced to grow through the GMA, and deciding what that looks like. And as we figure out that identity, then we're able to determine where we place the zoning that we are mandated by. That allows us to keep the personality that we want, that small town feel, neighbor to neighbor trust, while also allowing this middle housing with the ADUs, accessible dwelling units, the DADUs, the detached, are they rentals, et cetera. But it gives us that ability for kind of workforce housing as well, which is a huge, huge piece that we're missing as our kids graduate, go into trades or to college and want to come back and raise their families here. We have to come up with some housing that works for everybody and allows everybody to continue to age in place and do it in a way that continues to allow our families, our community, and our businesses to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is from the audience. In 3 years, the mega church is certain to devastate the ability to move around for people in Edgewood and Milton, around the lake, and in 20th and Taylor. Yet council has issued a traffic improvement plan that does not plan for this or pay for it. This is a huge liability for the city from lawsuits and reduced property values. What is your plan and how will you pay for it? And we will start with Bruce White.
Yeah, this when I ran for council 4 years ago, that approval for the construction of that church was high on the list of concerns, no matter where in the city I went. But as we are now watching its construction, I know that that people are thinking about it again, and thus that question. And I know that the church has been contacted, and they are willing to be a partner with the city in addressing any concerns that arise. But at this point, I don't believe there's anything that I would propose, because I am interested in seeing what happens before we develop a plan to mitigate whatever issue there may or may not be. So we will certainly be proactive and do what we can if problems arise. And we will work with the church leadership in partnership to address whatever issues arise.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan, what is your plan to address the megachurch, and how will you pay for it?
Sure. So the first part of my plan, I've already executed, had a direct conversation with the main contact at the church, which was fantastic. And he's pretty much reiterated everything that the city already has in place, and then additional support beyond that. They've done the sidewalk installation and the bike lanes. The city did mandate that they do a traffic impact analysis. The biggest piece of that is at the end, if their impact analysis was incorrect, then they will have to reevaluate it with the city, and there could be additional, let's say, improvements that the church has to put in place if it is well beyond what the city was anticipating and what they had already planned for. They are a very willing partner. They even said that they want to partner with us. They want to plan. They want to be involved in the community. They just haven't been asked as much as they would like, because they aren't here quite yet. But they are on board to make sure that they are a partner. They understand that the community is frustrated and concerned, but they understand that we will reach out, communicate, and have a two-way conversation to best benefit everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, what is your plan to address the megachurch, and how will you pay for it?
Thank you. Yes, I know that the hearing examiner actually gave them tasks that they had to fulfill to get through with even approved to be building there. And the only reason the church was able to move in was because code did not preclude it. And the church would have never moved in there if we would have had that crystal ball and being able to had code in place, then we'd be having something else there. So I know in the beginning that the people that live on 23rd were quite irritated, and they were, what the heck is happening? But there have been accommodations made that the church has to do. I know they want to work with the city. They want to, fulfill their responsibility. They don't just want to come in and run roughshod over it. And yes, there is the transpo actually implied that one of the things they may put at Taylor and 23rd is a roundabout or a light in part of that traffic study, because they know that the traffic will increase markedly, not because of the church so much, but because they're going to have a school. And so you're going to have traffic there, just like we do, for the schools in town. In the morning and in the afternoon, there'll be a higher degree of traffic going through there. They have to do, sorry, thank you.
Thank you. Next, you can see the timer, right? Okay, next question we'll start with Megan Sheridan. How do you propose to address congestion, semis on city streets, aggressive driving, and speeding in Milton? Megan Sheridan, please.
Sorry, I was writing that down. Congestion, aggressive driving.
Semis on city streets and speeding.
Um, there's a few different things that we've been discussing kind of as a community. It's definitely all over social media about it. Is why semis are allowed to be on almost every street. It doesn't appear that if we've got signs in place and rules in place, that they're actually following them. So we do need to work on exactly what our truck lanes are and how we want them to move through town. Speeding, we actually have been putting an emphasis in it, and our chief and his team are doing a great job. The cameras that are going to come on the beginning of the school year, so end of August, beginning of September, will help mitigate that, hopefully, right? That is the intent, and shift officers to other areas that can continue to be patrolled. We, along with the traffic calming measures that we need to put in place, and we need some grants for. So again, we're not pulling that directly out of our budget. It needs to be a top priority. And we truly do need to look at reducing speed limits in areas. I would say 23rd and Taylor probably needs to be reduced as the church comes online. Emerald is struggling and frustrated, 23rd. Further down, the Heather Hills area, et cetera. We need to address it across the board and stop the aggressiveness where we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, how do you propose to address congestion, semis on city streets, aggressive driving and speeding in Milton?
Thank you. There are signs already on like Milton Way, they're allowed to be on Milton Way. A lot of it, sometimes when they accidentally get on other roads, it's that their ways sent them that way. But yes, they are not supposed to be on, anything other than, Milton Way and Meridian. And the police, they pulled them over. I talked to the assistant chief the other day about that. And when they find the trucks, they do pull them over. They find them. I heard an interesting thing from the assistant police. He gave me some interesting stats about traffic stops over the first 6 months of last year and this year. They had in 2024 1,718 traffic stops and 85 traffic complaints. And in 2025, they had 2,411 traffic stops and 52 traffic complaints. So that's a nice thing to see. They're pulling over. What did I figure out? That's traffic stops is a 71% increase, and traffic complaints have dropped 61%. So that's an upside. I like that. So if they keep that emphasis up and we get the traffic calming elements in place, we'll be in good shape.
Thank you.
Thanks.
White.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear, and I have received feedback from residents that they are seeing a little more increased enforcement, but it's nice to get those stats. And I will pat myself on the back because I was one of the people that encouraged the chief to put more emphasis on traffic patrol. So I'm glad that he's made a market improvement. But again, back to one of the issues that I brought up earlier about having a traffic enforcement officer. That'll go a long way in addition to the traffic calming measures to cut down on all of these violations that you're talking about, semis on the streets where they're not supposed to be, speeding, aggressive driving, congestion. Having increased enforcement will always decrease the bad behavior, and I am committed to addressing that issue.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Steve Whitaker. According to the U.S. Census, more than 1 in 7 residents of Milton are foreign-born, and nearly 1 in 4 residents of Milton speak a language other than English at home. What is your plan to ensure that city services and city government are accessible to those for whom English is not their first language? Steve Whitaker.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because even when I was in the Milton Police Foundation, the police had asked us if we could provide them with Rosetta Stone. And so the foundation raised money to then provide them with a Russian Rosetta Stone and a Spanish Rosetta Stone, that then the officers could learn those languages, and they had a tool that they could go out and they could talk to people who are Eastern European speaking and also Spanish. So we actually kind of helped with that. Even that was probably 6 or 7 years ago. But also then I think that's a simple fix, is to, if you can, if you're hiring staff, that's one of the big things that would help, is hiring staff that are bilingual, in especially like Eastern European. Spanish would seem to be the two major groups that have come in that that English isn't their first language. I think that's a start, and I think that just about sums it up.
Thank you. Bruce White.
Yeah, for someone that is actively engaged in learning a foreign language, it's not just as easy as Rosetta Stone, I can tell you that. But I agree. You know, as I go door to door in this campaign, I have maybe 2 or 3 times come across people that I wasn't able to communicate with because of the language issue. I don't see it as a big issue. I know that you know, our police have access to translator services. I would have to do more investigation to see what the level of need is at the city level. I know you know, you say 1 in 4 speak a foreign language, but I would bet that a majority of them also can communicate in English as well. But I'm cognizant of it, and if we needed to do something, you know, to be able to communicate with our residents, definitely would look into at least getting a contract translating service, so that we could at least communicate at the counter.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan.
Sure. Thank you. I love it. Had amazing conversations and learned a lot about different backgrounds and what has brought people here. I mean, I had the opportunity to support FBLA, and the privilege of speaking with a young Ukrainian woman who had to flee because of the war. And what she taught me, I was there to support her. And what she taught me is how lucky we are to have the diversity here, and what opportunities they can provide us and teach us. And we need to do a really good job of inviting them into our spaces in the city. I will commend the chief. He's done a phenomenal job of, and his 17 officers, that I think he's got over 30 languages speaking. They speak now. However, that's only one segment. We need to open up all areas of City Hall, our commissions, our boards, our events, and make sure that everybody, regardless of whether or not they can speak English as a first language, or maybe their 6th or 7th, that they feel welcome, represented, engaged, and that we want to learn about them and have them as part of our lives in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Please discuss your plan to address issues of storm and surface water management in Milton. And we'll start with Bruce White.
Don't quite know how to answer that question, other than to say that that we have experienced staff on hand that that deal with that issue. From a administrative point of view, it's just making sure that the people we have dealing with storm and surface water are competent and stay on top of the issues and meet their goals, and making sure that the funding level is there to get the jobs that need to be done.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan, please discuss issues of your plan to address issues of storm and surface water management in Milton.
I think first we need to have a clear understanding, and this may be available in a report, and I have not read it, that gives us clear indication of how we're doing with our storm and surface water right now. I don't know in the retention, but I would say going forward, if we've got it solid and it's good right now, we need to have that as one of our priorities as we look at our zoning and our planning. If we've got areas that cannot handle any additional impacts, then we need to be adjusting how we're planning and zoning those areas and take that into consideration. If we're lacking, then we need to be going after grants to update it. It's a huge area that I know different areas of the state are providing grants on, and making sure that cities have it clearly under control, manageable, and can update it and move forward. I know that I'm hearing that regarding the church, the neighbors that live on the lakeside are very worried with all the water that's going to come towards them in the next few months, and making sure that stormwater and surface water was managed and everything was built correctly for them. So it is a huge issue as we continue to build, and it needs to be a top priority in managing it, making sure we've invested correctly in our systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, please.
Thank you. I know that they're constantly monitoring the stormwater system, especially since they've been working on 167, because that has effect on everything that flows down the hill toward where they're doing their construction. And I know they're in contact with the 167 project just for that purpose, and also with the new addition to ADUs, the building. They have to keep up with, so they don't sit back and not monitor that stormwater system. They're always monitoring the stormwater system. And that's also where and they set themselves up in a good way, because they set up their capital improvement plans and their capital improvements funds. So they have the funds there if they need to augment the system, if they need to just clean the system. They do have I've seen the vac system, the vac truck going around and cleaning out the system. One thing they have to really maintain and really watch out for are the ditches on the side of the road. And up here where we live, if you get too many people parking in those ditches, you clog those, they have to come out and clear everything out. So everything, at least in that section, is draining correctly. So they're watching, they have to monitor it constantly.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Megan Sheridan. This is an audience question. Affordable housing is either funded by the city or built on donated land. Do you believe that this is in the city budget? If not, why is council talking about affordable housing as if it is something they can control? Megan Sheridan, please.
That is it's a tough conversation and huge concern across the region. The county's actually putting in place a new team that I'm interviewing to be part of that tomorrow, specifically to discuss affordable housing and our houseless population and how do we support that. It's not working what we're doing, and that's what I'm excited about, this new opportunity of diving in and looking at things differently and being able to bring that back here as we do look at our zoning and our plan and our culture. It's part of the GMA Department of Commerce mandates it in our Growth Management Act. We have to have space for it. So the better we plan and manage it and have it layered within the middle housing with the density mandates that we have from the state, we're gonna have some better options. There are substantial grants, isn't necessarily just donated land. And there's different ways with tax breaks and different state incentives to work with developers. We just need to realize that we can proactively make a plan for this and work with partners instead of saying it's not welcome here, which is what I've heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker, please.
Thank you. Yeah, the definitely what drives that is the Growth Management Act. That also then a lot of it are mandates from the state. So then we've got to change the Growth Management Act to fit what they want municipalities just in general throughout the state that they want to get more housing. The one thing with Milton that we have discussed before and residents I've talked to also, Milton only has so much, and Milton will do what it can, but that's why I think we're going down we're responding to the Growth Management Act, and what the state is mandating is through incorporating ADUs. If someone owns land, as I said earlier, they want to tear down a house, they're in some cases it can be incentivized to then build a triplex, a duplex, to house more people, to create more affordable housing for people. And I think we're going to need that because we're going to have an influx of more people coming into this area, and so we have to be ready for that.
Thank you. Bruce White.
Yeah, it's a difficult issue, and it's certainly not something that a city of our size and with the budget that we have that we can create city subsidized housing. It's just not going to happen in our city. But we do what we can in terms of our zoning code and our comprehensive plan. And like I said earlier, with creating regulations for ADUs and unit lot subdivisions, it does offer lower cost alternatives than what are currently available. And it may not be popular to say, but not every city can provide every service. And so we do what we can, and we do what we can while trying to keep the quality of life stable for our residents.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Steve Whitaker. What do you propose that the city of Milton should do to address climate-induced disasters? Steve Whitaker.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think you need to have a emergency preparedness team in place, which would be the police could, and they could also, our police department could also, and would be smart to partner with Pierce County sheriffs and other, with Fife, with Edgewood, and come together. Then you have those economies of scale. You're able to handle those and handle any emergency that comes along, and also be more organized in your being able to handle any, if it's an earthquake, if it's a flood, if it's a lahar, that you're able to meet regularly, and you can know, because then I would probably suffice that they already kind of have that kind of rough organization in place to have that happen in case, there are, environmental disasters. But I think also just to get the community involved, and they can be part of that before the fact. And even, churches, it's all hands on deck, that everybody should be responsible in some way, that if we have an environmental disaster, that we can all pull together and get through it.
Thank you. Bruce White.
Interesting. I was prepared to talk about generic climate change, but not climate-induced disasters. It's something that I hadn't really considered. I think in terms of actual weather disasters, I think we're fortunate to live in an area of the country that doesn't experience that as much as other areas of the country, like hurricanes in Florida, or flooding in Texas, or in the Carolinas. So in that sense, I think we're lucky, and that Steve mentioned earthquakes. I think that probably is going to be something that would be the most disruptive to the region if we ever get hit with what's expected to happen in the next 50 or 75 years. But as far as the city is concerned, and our public safety, our police department has plans, and they communicate with the fire department, and again, disasters occur when you least expect them. And my time's up, so I can't complete that.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan.
Well, I definitely have something to add to my first 100-day list. I was under the impression, and just learned I was wrong, that there would have been a plan in place, just like we had in Maple Valley. And we regularly trained for it. And it was with our city, with our county, with our state, all of our first responders on what would happen, who are our designated city staff, who are the community contacts with partnerships with community centers, churches, et cetera, businesses. What is that plan and who's in charge of it? And how is it executed? Where do we take people? What is our immediate response? What is our warning system? Where are our designated areas? And how do we support our first responders and make sure that our community is taken care of, that we're not getting in the way of our first responders, and are able to support them and execute plans for whatever comes our direction. I mean, I think we look at exactly what just happened. We've all seen the stories and the horror that happened in Texas. And there are communities that didn't have a plan and a warning system in place. And I think if our weather systems are going to continue to exacerbate and reduce response times from FEMA and other areas, we definitely need to have a plan in place, and that needs to be a top priority going forward.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Bruce White, and we have an audience question. Milton has its own police force. What directives would you issue to ensure that state law is followed regarding ICE and our neighbors' civil rights? Bruce White.
I don't think that the police would need any direction, because I am confident that our police chief is aware of and follows state law to the T, and I would support him in doing that.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan.
Absolutely. I am concerned that there hasn't been a dialogue, and I've had this conversation multiple times, and the response out of the city is we haven't thought that we needed to have the conversation. And go right back to that climate response. We need a plan. ICE is showing up in neighborhoods. We've seen it happen. We've seen imposters. Our community is just as scared. Let's go back to that 1 in 7 are foreign born. 1 in 4 English is a second language. Our community needs to know that we have a plan, one, to protect them, to support them, and that we understand the importance of Keep Washington Working Act from 2019 that says we will not ask for any information, and that we are going to absolutely lead in the city with dignity and safety and respect. And that our families who send their children to school, that they understand that our community is going to support the school district and how they're planning, and having met with superintendent for 5 public schools, they have a plan in place. All of their schools, their leadership team, et cetera, everybody knows what to do. And I think it's time that our city put a plan in place as well, and make sure that everybody knows that they are welcome and it's inclusive, and we will absolutely follow state law. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve Whitaker.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that the police chief has a plan in place. The thing that we're dealing with here too is local jurisdiction and federal jurisdiction. And I'm pretty sure that the chief would not want to interfere with a federal agency, and then because that would be obstruction. And I don't think he'd want any of his officers to be incarcerated for a federal agency fulfilling their orders. I do think there needs to be due process. I don't believe that they should just be able to just bust into somebody's home and take them away. I agree. I think it needs to be done with respect, and and treat them like a human being, and not just just being aggressive and going into someone's home and just taking them. So I definitely feel that the due process definitely has to be in place there, but there definitely is a local jurisdiction issue and a federal jurisdiction issue. And also, maybe to be honest, I don't know if the ICE is really a pertinent issue when it comes down to a municipality.
Thank you. Last question, audience question, and we'll start with Megan Sheridan. Sidewalks are incredibly expensive and are usually built by requiring new builds to include sidewalks. However, we see properties are being developed without sidewalks. Why are waivers being issued for sidewalks? Why are waivers being issued for sidewalks is a main part of our mission, and where does the fee money go?
Yes, they definitely has been a history of fees in lieu of sidewalks. On my additional 100 days plan, looking at how we're handling permitting and planning and developer standards, and putting that, tying it with our culture and our vision and our comp plan, knowing full well, and all 3 of us have said it as we've talked to the community, sidewalks are a top priority, and it's a significant safety issue. So if we know that walkability and safety is number 1, then we can't do fees in lieu of, and that needs to stop. Where the money's gone, I can't answer that. I don't know what that process was and what the strategy was behind it. What I can share is that walkability and safety, especially the conversations that I've had with families that are walking, but more importantly, our senior communities out of Heather Hills and Alder Ridge, and the number of people that have fallen, tipped over in their wheelchairs, ended up in the ditch, having to put stress onto our first responders because our city doesn't provide the walkability, is inappropriate. So we need to require it of developers. And number 2, we need to be completing the plans that we have in place with the funding structures that have now been set up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Whitaker, please.
Thank you. Yeah, in the past, I know that it's been the developers are responsible for putting in the sidewalks in front of wherever they're building their homes. I know that's the case with ours. So in that case, it went, they just rolled it into the price of the house, but they had to pay that. I have heard about other people who are the city has come to them and said, you need to put a sidewalk in front of your house. And the way that process works, and even I'm trying to get my head around that, is that you're putting your money into a pool that then is putting a sidewalk somewhere else in front of somebody else's house. But the way it's supposed to work is then it comes back and you'll get one in front of your house that somebody else is paying for. And it's, but it's just as we know with the city putting in sidewalks, they're not cheap. And it would be nice if citizens could even apply for grants to put in, you know, a sidewalk that the city is asking them to install. It is an issue that I've been running around in my head trying to figure out how can we make that better. Because I've talked to people who have said, yeah, I was told by the city that I have to put in the sidewalk in front of my house. That's $15,000. And that's a lot of money to install that. And I'm being requested by the city to do that. And so that's what I would like to do. And yeah, my first 100 days is tackle that one.
Thank you. Bruce White.
Yeah, I understand the program, the fee in lieu, and I think in some areas it makes sense. I'm sure everyone has seen, you know, a construction project that happens in their neighborhood, in a neighborhood that doesn't have sidewalks, and it's a choice that's given to the landowner. You know, a condition of their permit is to either put the sidewalk in or pay the fees in lieu of. So you'll have a situation where there's one house on, you know, on a mile-long street that has a sidewalk in front of it, and it just, you know, it looks ridiculous. It's and so if they pay the fee in lieu, you know, it costs the homeowner essentially the same to do either one. There's a place in the budget where it goes, and you know, the way it's supposed to work is that money is supposed to pool, and then eventually, you know, the street gets sidewalks, you know, its entire length. So, and I get it, sidewalks are expensive, and you know, these fee in lieu you know, don't happen fast enough to be able to actually quickly do anything. The money just sort of sits there until it creates a balance where work can be done.
Thank you. Now it's time for closing statements. Each candidate has up to 1 minute for their closing statement. We'll change the order of the opening statements. So we will go in the order of Steve Whitaker, Bruce White, and then Megan Sheridan. So we'll start with Steve Whitaker. 1 minute.
Thank you. And once again, I'd like to say thank you for everybody who's online watching right now and everybody who after the fact watches this. For an authentic, honest, and community-driven mayor, I'm here for the city. Authentic, I'm the same person in all situations. Honest, because I follow through with what I say I'm going to do. I'm dedicated to community service. I've been on the FME Chamber of Commerce, the Milton Police Foundation, and my 8 years on City Council. I participate in local events like Milton Days, National Night Out, Interurban Trail Cleanup, and the Santa Parade. I also volunteer for youth by assisting with field days at local schools and a large community Easter egg hunt. With my MBA, I understand economic development and understand the city's financial constraints and needs. I am committed to the public safety and instituting traffic calming measures.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce White, 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you, Milton, for this opportunity to share my vision. I'm Bruce White, and I'm running for mayor to deliver safer neighborhoods, cleaner water, smarter budgets, and leadership that listens. You've shared your concerns about speeding, sidewalks, and taxes. I hear you, and I'm committed to action, not just promises. On August 5th, only the top 2 candidates advance to the general election. Your vote can make me one of them, bringing integrity and community-driven solutions to City Hall. Visit friendsofbruce.us to join our campaign and share your ideas. Together, we'll build a Milton where families thrive, voices are heard, and our future shines bright. I humbly ask for your support. Let's make Milton stronger. Vote Bruce White on August 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan Sheridan, please.
Thank you all for being here in League of Women Voters. Appreciate you. If you're worried that growth means losing what makes Milton special, I hear you. I've had those same concerns, but standing still hasn't stopped change. It's only kept us from shaping it. I'm not here to rewrite who we are. I'm here to protect what's good, repair what's not working, and prepare Milton for what's ahead. Leadership isn't about how long you've lived somewhere. It's about what you do with the responsibility when it's given to you. I've built coalitions, solved hard problems, brought people together to get real things done. That's the kind of leadership I'm offering, one rooted in transparency, trust, and public service. I was honored to receive the endorsement of the 111 unions represented by the Pierce County Labor Council, including IBEW 483, which represents our City Hall and Public Works employees. That endorsement means a lot, but so would earning your vote. Let's shape Milton together. Let's write Milton's next chapter with clarity, courage, and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you all. In ballot order, the candidates for Milton Mayor are Bruce White, Megan Sheridan, Steve Whitaker. Your ballot will be mailed out on July 18th. Be sure to vote early and no later than August 5th. We'd like to thank the candidates and the timekeeper, Terry Baker, and the Tacoma-Pierce County League of Women Voters. You can see our other League of Women Voter candidate forums on lwvtpc.org, and this one will be posted within a day or two also on that website. That's lwvtpc. Read your voters pamphlet, read the candidates' websites, and do everything that you can to be an educated voter. And don't forget to vote before August 5th. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.